I mean, I don't know if this is the right time to do this video, but I just felt the need, to put out this, to speak my heart on this subject today, Recently, I've read a lot of your comments, on this African American and African, issue. And I've watched a lot of content creators, and I kind of see, I'm a misunderstanding going on between these two communities. And so today I felt the need to create this content to kind of share with you, how for the most part Africans view African Americans. Sorry, if I offend you in this video, but it's just what I have to say, man. Things are getting too much out of control right now, and I can see a lot of people also getting misinformed, from people watching this kind of content creators, sending out some negative information about Africa and its people. Let me start by sharing with you how we Africans growing up kind of see African Americans, from the commercial side, from TVs, from movies, and from the music. This may not apply to all Africans, but mostly Africans in West Africa. It's also a different case for Africans who left the continent to study outside or to live in the Western world. It's a different experience altogether. But for the most part, Africans in Africa will kind of relate to what I'm saying. This is it. Us growing up, we kind of see African Americans, from the music clips, from the movies we watch. We did not see that. Me particularly, I did not see that at that particular time that has been like a negative image, like being like a negative person. Nah, it was just a thing to be at that time. This is, let's say, around 2000 or in the 1990s, where everything was built around being the hero in your group. So let's say in your class you have to be the toughest guy, and if you're the toughest guy, then you have to look like this guy in the film, or like dress like this guy in the music clip. So that's the kind of image we pick up, but that's not necessarily negative to us at that time, because everything was built around being the hero in your group at that particular time. A lot of people who are watching this today can kind of attest to that. But anyway, things are changing now. We have masculine, how do they say it? Male masculine toxicity or something. I don't know, some crazy terms going around, But for the most part, that's how it was. And we kind of, dress like them, put on the durars, the headbands, the handbands, Timberlands. We do all of that because that's what we've been shown. Like that's what we see on TVs. And even though our parents may not want to see us dress like that because they kind of see us like gangsters, but to us as kids, it's a normal thing to do. That's just, the dress code, That's just what it is for us growing up. I mean, you gotta look like that. Otherwise, the dress code, there's something missing, That's how we kind of see African Americans growing up. We didn't see racism. We didn't understand why African Americans, were championing hip hop. We didn't understand why African Americans, were living that kind of a life. We did not understand that. I did not get that, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to what I'm saying. So this is it mostly for the commercial side. So now let's move to the schooling system. For the education system, this is particularly, for people in Africa, West Africa, we have the same, curriculum. So us growing up like school, like from primary to high school, the part of slavery we are taught, history of transatlantic slavery, stopped at, when the slaves were taken to America and they started working on plantation. And then the next line on that was, slavery was then abolished. Full stop. Slavery ended, and now we are all one. They all, we have to come as one. That thing is a thing of the past. Let's not do that thing again. So that's the average understanding for somebody who attended primary school to high school. But it's recently that things are changing now with social media, with the George Floyd's murder recently. Now people are getting to see, oh, okay, so African Americans are still being subjected to discriminatory laws in the West, or even black people generally. This is now that a lot of Africans who have never been outside the continent can kind of see that being black outside is a crime, and for the most part. And what I'm saying, it's not the same experience for everybody, but I'm sure, people from West Africa can kind of relate to what I'm saying. And then recently, I also get to even realize that, the African American, what you guys are taught about slavery is not even the real truth. It's different from what we are taught about, slavery in your schools. And so this clearly tells us that, this system of education was skillfully designed to keep us apart, people of the same kind, but different cultures now. And so it is really important that I put out this message today for all of you African Americans who are subscribed to this channel or are thinking of visiting Africa or moving back to Africa. We do not have like negative energy towards anyone, either African American or white or Chinese. Now, for the most part, be positive, But of course, things are changing now with social media, with what we see and what we consume. Well, we invite everybody with open spirit. For the most part, our spirit is positive. Because in our context, racism doesn't exist. We do not see that around us. And so a lot of African Americans, like returning back to Africa, when they come, a lot of the things we do doesn't make a lot of sense to them, given their experiences in the West. But you don't solve that problem by attacking them, talk down on the local people. I mean, that's the worst mistake you can do. You can't go to someone's house, disrespect the person. I mean, that's one of the biggest offense you can do in Africa. It's regarded as rude. So for example, we've seen people saying that Africans are miseducated. miseducated. They don't really know what's going on and all of that. To those Africans too, you are miseducated because how you live and all that you do, it doesn't make sense to them. Africans, Americans, like coming to Africa, they should really research more about any country they want to go to, the people, the tradition there. Any country you find yourself, you kind of respect it for the time you are there. Otherwise, you are not going to have a nice experience in any African country. It takes education, it takes maturity, it takes understanding for these two different communities of the same kind, to really like work together. Let me just add this before I end this video. So if you're an African American and are thinking of moving back to Africa, first of all, keep an open mind. If you want to embrace the African people, like this culture and what Africa has to offer, keep an open mind, because there are a lot of things that people do here that might kind of offend you, because people really don't understand African American struggle for the most part. In some places, just because of your accent, people will call you an Ibruni, like white person, just because of your accent, despite the fact that you look like them. So keep an open mind. Don't take certain things too personally. Africa is a conservative society too, and most of our belief system is built upon Christianity, Islam, and our traditional religion. And there are a lot of things we do based on this belief system that may not even make sense to you coming from the West, in secular societies. But it is what it is here. Even though you have all these theories and all this proof to us, whatever, you don't just come head on with the people like that, establish a dialogue and, get your point across. Some of these things are very, very sensitive issues. Like, it is there to people's heart, so do as much as your homework and handle those things, in a more matured way. And then the third one is like lower your expectation. Most of the physical world, the materialistic side of things, Africa doesn't have much to offer compared to what you guys have in the West. That's just the fact, Our infrastructure is different. It's just a different way of life altogether, For the most part, what Africa has to offer is spiritual cleansing for you guys, honestly.